Alright guys, so the binding is up, here we go. So we now have to just nip, or at least sew this point in a 45-degree angle, like that. What that will do is, that will automatically pop all of this to the inside, which is where we want it to be. So before we even get to that part, remember we have pleats on the cuff here, on the cuff area. Let me show you in the video. Remember that little nips that we did? Yeah, that is because we have pleats on the edge here, or at least on the side of the arm. So we have to prepare that. So here's my vent. Let me just straighten out the sleeve here real quick for you guys. So I'm going to take this point. I have two pleats on my cuff line, so I'm going to fold it here. Remember that nip that we did? Fold that. So fold, fold, place. And then fold, fold, place. That is sort of, that is the pleats that we have before we even get to the cuff part. So remember, fold that in, and then we're going to do a stay stitch just to keep those pleats down. You see, 1, 2 pleats before we get to the vent. That's what we're going to be doing right now here. So we're just going to do a stay stitch to keep those pleats down. From one pleat to the other pleat. Without back tacking, just a stay stitch. There we go. So the pleats are kept down like that. So now we can continue finishing off the vent. So we're going to take this is still the right side. We're going to take that, we're going to push it, the vent. It was like that. We push it inward so that we can go to the wrong side of this, of the fabric. Close the vent like that. Push that point upwards. And do your 45-degree angle stitch. Let's do it now. So there we go, my needle is down onto the binding, and I'm going to do that 45-degree stitch. Back tacking on that stitch. It's about 3 times, yeah? We show it up to the camera. Come on, Mr. Zoom, focus. There we go, there's our 45-degree angle stitch, yeah? And we take it from that point, and then we toss it back to the outside. And there we go, guys. That's what we want. 45-degree stitch on the inside, and then that's how it looks on the outside, yeah? And once we are there, let me zoom out a little bit. Once we're on that point, now we are ready to fold this part inward, yeah? Like that. So one side, the one that has the pleats, folds inward and not outward, but inward. And then we're going to do another stay stitch just to keep them flat. And the under vent is kept like that, yeah? So that's what we're going to do right now. So after we have prepared our sleeve with the vent, there we go, we are now ready to sew up the side seam. So that's what we're going to be doing next. So we're going to take our front panel over here, we're going to flip it all the way over so that we can have the right side of the front touching the right side of the back. So we're going to flip it all the way over the whole shirt. We're going to turn them inside out. Like that. And then we're going to line up the sleeve first. Grab some pins. Gonna line up the top of the sleeve here first, put a pin in there. And then we work our way all the way to the armhole. Put another pin in there. And then we're going to start pinning the side seam together as well, making sure everything is flat. Stick another pin in the side seam. Like that. And then now we want to focus on the vent. Remember, we have a vent, everybody. For those that have decided to do my basic shirt where I had a vent, remember I showed you guys in class. So this is the one that we're going to do for the vent. But for those that don't have a vent, you will then of course sew everything together from the top of the sleeve all the way down to the side seam, all the way down to the end, yeah? But for those that have a vent, we will start sewing from the sleeve, from the start of the sleeve, all the way past the armhole, and then we will stop here where the vent is going to start, yeah? So take a pencil, make a line where your vent start, because that will be where we will end with the stitch from the sleeve all the way to the side seam where the vent starts. Cool, everybody. So we are ready to sew the sleeve seam all the way to the side seam, and then we will stop at the vent, yeah? So here we go. So we're gonna sew 1 centimeter, that is our seam allowance. Back tack. Remove our needle, our pin as we go, making sure that it's edge to edge line up. Let me zoom in a little bit more. You guys can see what's happening. Making sure that your edges lines up. Now we're going to sew over the, or at least at the end of the armhole. We will remove the pin that's at the bottom there, straightening out our edges. All right. Now we will approach, we will end at the vent. And my vent is over here, so that's where I'm going to be stopping, making sure everything is all good. I'll stop right at the vent. I'll do a back tack there. So that's the start of the vent. I'll do a back tack. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I'll cut off. So there we go, everybody. That's where my vent starts. And now I will go to the ironing board and start ironing the vent in. I will show you guys that in the next video. Alright. But before we go to the iron, I will now prepare the other side, also sewing it from the start of the sleeve all the way to the start of the vent.